Krishna. Welcome, dear devotees, to our GBC Live platform. And I would like to thank all our viewers who have joined us today, and also would like to thank all the viewers who have been joining us every day sincerely. And you all know that we have been organizing a series of talks, inviting speakers every day throughout the whole month to speak about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So it's a very good opportunity for all of us to dive deep and relish the nectar of Krishna consciousness through hearing the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we have a great fortune and honor to welcome Her Grace Govinda Priya Devi. And Govinda Priya, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And Govinda Priya is a very famous devotee and actually needs no introduction. But as a tradition, I would just like to speak a few words about her. So Govinda Priya got introduced to Krishna consciousness when she was in her early teens in Mumbai, and since then she has been practicing so sincerely, dedicatedly, and with so much of depth. And Govind Priya has served most of her life, like 10 years of her life were spent in New Vrindavan, assisting the leaders over there to increase the congregation over there. And she's doing a similar service now in Sacramento. She resides in California with her husband and two beautiful sons. And also Govinda Priya holds several leadership positions in ISKCON. She is a Vaishnavi minister for North America. She is a secretary to GBC nominations committee, and I can go on and on. She is the devotee care director for the GBC SPT. But besides all the managerial positions she holds, the two things I love and admire and get inspired about her life are the first, how she manages her life, her time management skills. She can fit so many services during the day. It's just commendable and it's incomprehensible sometimes to me. And the second thing is she genuinely cares for the devotees, and she actually has all the time that one needs from her when someone is in need. So Govinda Priya, thank you so much. You have exemplified the devotee care aspect of our movement, which is the heart of our Krishna consciousness philosophy. So thank you for being who you are. And today she's spending her valuable time to discuss the chapter 34 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, Vidyādhara Liberated and the demon Śaṅkhacūḍa killed. So we are waiting to hear eagerly all your realizations, and thank you for being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shamasaki. In fact, I am quite embarrassed by your lofty appreciation, and I hope that I'm actually able to develop any of those qualities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome, dear devotees. And it feels a little weird to be on the other side of the spectrum, to be able to share. I'm very grateful for this opportunity and thank the GBC SPT team for allowing me to meditate on the 34th chapter and share a little bit with all of you today. So let's offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata Deshatharine. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much for joining us today. And like Shamasaki was so beautifully explaining, that we've spent this entire month meditating on the 10th canto and very systematically studying the chapter by chapter, the different pastimes of the Lord. Just last week, we heard from Hari Parshad Prabhu over 3 sessions, the intricacies of the beautiful pastimes of the Rasa dance, the Rasa Panchadhyaya. Srila Prabhupada explains that in the Krishna book, that after the Rasa dance was over, that was a big festivity and event. Now the next festival that the Brajvasis would celebrate was Dhol Yatra, which is Holi. But in between that, there comes a very important festival. It was mostly celebrated by the Shivaites, but sometimes the devotees would also honor Lord Shiva as one of the greatest Vaishnavas. So the Brajvasis at once they decided that we want to go to Ambikavan, which Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that it is in the region of Gujarat. And it is mentioned that it is near the river Saraswati, but there is no river Saraswati in Gujarat right now. So Srila Prabhupada explains that most of the time we see that the holy places are situated on the banks of different holy rivers. So the Brajvasis decided that this year we are going to go to Ambikavan. Ambika is the consort of Lord Shiva. We're going to go to Ambikavan and glorify and appreciate and offer our obeisances and respects to Lord Shiva, who is Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, who is the greatest of all devotees. So as devotees, we also offer our heartfelt respects and gratitude to Lord Shiva. However, Shivaites, they, to achieve or receive some material benedictions, very staunchly worship Lord Shiva on Shivaratri as well. But Vaishnavas, sometimes we worship Lord Shiva. So the Brajvasis decide, Nand Maharaj with many other Brajvasis, they decide to travel to Ambikavan and prepare their mind, body, and consciousness to serve and appreciate and glorify Lord Shiva by undergoing some austerities like fasting. They bathe in the river. And Srila Prabhupada very beautifully explains in the Krishna book that is what is the consciousness when we go to the Dham. We need to prepare our mind, body, and consciousness before we enter the Dham. And while we are in the Dham, of course, so that we can actually see the true wealth of the Dham. And we're not bewildered by, this so-called dirt or filth, or many a times devotees become bewildered by that. But when we prepare our mind, body, and consciousness to be in the Dham by little austerities or by reading the glories of the Dham, then we are rightly situated. So the Brajvasis similarly, they decide to perform some austerities like fasting. They were drinking only a little bit of water, and they were preparing to worship and glorify Lord Shiva. So at night, when they went to rest, a very big and hungry serpent approached Nand Maharaj and started to devour him. If you see the beautiful pictures in Krishna book, in Srimad Bhagavatam, and in some pieces of Sara Darshani, if you see these beautiful pictures, you can see that literally Nanda Maharaj has been devoured to the waist, and the serpent had strong grip on the body of Nanda Maharaj. And at that point, just like all the Brajvasis always do, what did they do? What did Nanda Maharaj do? He called out, Sa Chakshroshina Grahastha Krishna Krishna Mahanayam. So Krishna Krishna Mahayam. So over there, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that as soon as the serpent grabbed and started to devour the body of Nanda Maharaj, Nanda Maharaj was recollecting everything that Garga Muni told him. Nanda Maharaj was recollecting that Krishna is your savior. Krishna is the savior of all the Brajvasis. And immediately Nanda Maharaj started to call out, Krishna, Krishna, Mahayam. Please protect me, please save me. And hearing the loud cries of Nand Maharaj, all the Brajvasis that were sleeping and resting, they woke up and immediately took whatever sticks, uh, tree branches that were available, lit them with fire and started to beat this serpent so that he would release Nand Maharaj from his grip. But the serpent was not ready to release Nand Maharaj from his grip. He was tightening his grip further and further, while the Brajvasis were strongly trying to beat the serpent up. And at that time, Nand Maharaj, with great plight, he began to cry again to Krishna, Krishna, please save me. And Krishna appeared on the scene and gently touched the serpent with his foot. And the serpent was transformed into this beautiful looking Vidyādhara, a celestial being. And immediately Nand Maharaj was relieved from the clutches of this serpent. The Brajvasis were witnessing all of this. Just imagine the life of the Brajvasis. They were constantly exposed to all of these mystical magic shows. Here there is a serpent tightly gripping the body of Nand Maharaj, ready to devour him completely. And just simply by the touch of Krishna, he was transformed into a celestial being. And Krishna is Sarvagya, he knows everything. But still, to emphasize very strongly the offense towards a Brahmana or towards Vaishnavas or towards anyone for that matter, Krishna asked the celestial being, who are you? Just now you were this ugly looking serpent, and now you are transformed into the celestial being with such effulgent bodily features. Who are you? And why? Why did you end up becoming? What was the reason that you ended up becoming a serpent? So, just to emphasize the importance and significance of respect to the Brahmanas, Krishna wanted to hear. And Krishna wanted all the Brajvasis to hear and all of us to hear through these wonderful books that Srila Prabhupada has given us, that how careful we need to be when we're dealing with the Brahmanas, with the Vaishnavas, with the cows. And at that point, this celestial being, he said, I am Vidyādhara. I am one of the Vidyādharas. Vidyādhara is, there are several kinds of demigods, and Vidyādharas are one kind of demigods. And he said, I am Vidyādhara, and my name is Sudarshana. I have very beautiful bodily limbs. And I was roaming and enjoying my life in the Swargalok, conducting and serving Indra. At one point of time in my life, while I was overpowered with pride and my good looks and my higher status of life, I saw one of the sages that comes in the lineage of Angira Rishi, Ashtavakra Muni. It is explained that Ashtavakra Muni, Ashta means 8 and Vakra means bent. So Ashtavakra Muni, his body was bent on 8 different limbs were bent. So he had great difficulty in walking. And when he walked, it wasn't very beautiful to look at. So when Vidyādhara, Sudarshana, he looked at Ashtavakra Muni walking across, he laughed and ridiculed Ashtavakra Muni, saying, look at your funny walk. What kind of a funny walk you have? at that time, deeply hurt by his harsh words. It's very interesting how the sages, they're, in spite of being hurt, they're constantly only thinking of benefiting whoever they come in contact with. If you look at the pastime of uh, Nalakuvera and Narada Muni, Narada Muni, before cursing them, he's contemplating for a while that what should I, what punishment do they deserve that will put an end to their sinful life, which is paving their path to um, which is paving their path to hell. And how can they be most benefited? Similarly, Ashtavakra Muni was considering the benefit of this Vidyādhara, Sudarshana. Even though he was deeply hurt, he cursed him to become a serpent and have a similar body that moves and sways in a way that is not very pleasant to look at. Still contemplating his ultimate benefit. So at that point, Sudarshana, this Vidyādhara, he tells Krishna that it was for my very benefit that I was cursed. And he goes out to glorifying the beautiful glories of the holy name. He said, simply by hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord, one becomes liberated. Simply by hearing once the holy name of the Lord, one can become liberated. What to speak about actually seeing you? And look at my good fortune. I not only heard you, I saw you, you also touched me and liberated me from this lowly life. So it is very interesting and it is very appreciative of Vidyādhara at that point that he was realizing not only his mistake, but he was also able to express gratitude to the sage that cursed him because of the ultimate benefit that he received in the form of Krishna's mercy, being in the audience of Krishna and the Brajvasis. So as devotees in our life, we need to reflect that whatever happens in our life, if that brings us closer to Krishna, then it is for our ultimate benefit. If we are able to strengthen our faith in Krishna and his devotees, and that is in our hands. So no matter what situation we have in our lives, if we are able to strengthen our faith in Guru, Krishna, and the devotees, then any obstacle in our life becomes an opportunity, becomes a stepping stone to become closer to Krishna. Krishna is also teaching us through this wonderful pastime that he does not tolerate pride. He does not tolerate pride in his devotees. Whether it is the ruler of the heavenly planets, Indra, if he becomes proud, then Krishna can lift his Govardhan hill and smash his pride to pieces. He will not tolerate pride in his devotees. Whether it's pride in his devotee Bali Maharaj, if you read the conversation of Bali Maharaj and Vamandev, Bali Maharaj is telling Vamandev, you don't have enough intelligence. You're asking me? You have come to the emperor. You're asking me for only 3 steps. Bali Maharaj, at that point, the Acharyas mentioned that Bali Maharaj had become proud of his charity. He'd become extremely proud that I can give any charity I like. But at that point, Krishna, in the form of Vamandev, crushed his pride and bound him in a way that expressing to him that I will not let you be proud. You cannot even give me 3 steps that I asked for. So Krishna does not tolerate pride. Sudama became proud of his uh, poverty, his austerities, as his renunciation. And what did Krishna do? He crushed his pride by granting him, by giving him abundance of opulence. Krishna crushed his pride. So in the life of devotees, Krishna will not tolerate pride. And we have to be very, very conscious of that. Anytime we feel that we have become controllers and it is me who is doing everything, then Krishna will send some of his devotees or anybody else to realign us on the path of Krishna consciousness, because he is a loving father. He will not tolerate the pride in our hearts. There's a very interesting story, and it comes in the Shanti Parva of the Mahabharata. So in the Shanti Parva of the Mahabharata is when Krishna comes as the Shanti Dut to the assembly of the Kauravas. He comes and he's requesting Arjuna. He's requesting Duryodhan on behalf of Maharaj Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas that, they will be satisfied with only 5 villages. You give them only 5 villages. You keep everything else. Stop this war, because nobody is going to benefit from this war. You stop this war and just give them 5 villages. But Duryodhan was so proud and so arrogant that he completely turned down with great disrespect the proposal that Krishna had brought forth. And over there were many sages. There was Parshuram. Many sages were sitting in that assembly and trying to give Duryodhan good counsel. And one such name is Kanva Muni. Kanva Muni was sitting there and he addressed Duryodhan. Oh, my dear Duryodhan, let me tell you a story which is instructive, that don't be so arrogant. Don't be so Don't be so proud. You are not the doer of anything. You do not possess anything. This Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord right in front of you, he is the possessor of everything. So don't be so proud. And he starts narrating this beautiful pastime and this story that appears in the Shanti Parva of Mahabharata. He says as once upon a time, Indra's chariot driver, Matali. Matali is Indra's chariot driver, and he had a very, very beautiful daughter, Gunakeshi. Gunakeshi had now reached marriageable age, and Matali was looking. She was so beautiful, adorned with many wonderful qualities. He was having a great difficulty finding an appropriate bridegroom for her. He was traveling through the planetary systems. He was going to Swargaloka. He was going to the lower Bhuvar, Patal, Vital, Sutal. He was going on all the different planetary, different lokas, trying to look for a suitable bridegroom for his beautiful daughter, who was not only externally beautiful, but had many wonderful qualities as well. So at that point, Narad Muni comes, and Narad Muni says that I will help you. I will come with you. and the gentle and kind nature of Narad Muni, he traveled with Matali to Rasatal. And in Rasatal, they found a suitable match of one of the Nagas. His name was Sumukha. Sumukha had similarly beautiful qualities, and he was extremely handsome to look. So when Matali looked at Sumukha and Narad Muni, they both agreed that yes, he is the most suitable match for Gunakeshi. So they approached, as customary in the Vedic culture, they approached the grandfather and they said that please accept, this is Matali. Matali is the chariot driver of Indra, and he wants to offer his daughter in marriage to your grandson, Sumukha. And at that point, his grandfather, Sumukha's grandfather, became very afraid. And he said, no, I cannot accept this proposal of yours. Because last month, when Garuda came, he devoured and he ate the father of Sumukha, who is the Naga, the king of the Nagas. He ate him. And while leaving, he said, I will be back next month and I am going to eat Sumukha. So be prepared and be ready. So Sumukha's lifespan is only for 1 month. I cannot do this. I cannot be so unfair and offer Sumukha your wonderful daughter, because his lifespan is only for 1 month. So feeling compassionate at heart, Narada Muni said that don't worry. We will take Sumukha with us to the heavenly planets, and Indra will bless Sumukha with a long life. When Indra blesses Sumukha with a long life, Garuda could not do anything. Garuda will not be able to do anything. So when Garuda came last month to eat and devour Sumukha's father, and he had left this notice that I'm going to come and eat Sumukha next month, he had instilled that fear in their hearts, and they knew how powerful and strong Garuda is. But the compassionate nature of Narad Muni, he takes Matali and Sumukha with him to the heavenly planets. And over there, he narrates this entire story to Indra in front of the entire assembly, where our beloved Vaman Dev is also sitting. So hearing this narration, Indra becomes afraid and he's saying, I cannot, Garuda is so powerful. He has defeated me in the past. When the churning of the milk ocean took place, Garuda had actually come and snatched the pot of nectar to free his mother, Kadru. And there's this elaborate pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam, which we won't go into much detail. But Garuda is so powerful, he's already defeated me in the past. I cannot take this risk of blessing Sumukha. But at that point, Vamandev says, no, please go ahead and do not fear. Bless Sumukha and let this marriage take place. So when this marriage is going to take place, Indra, on the order of Vamandev, blesses Sumukha with a long life. And this alliance of marriage takes place. This news reaches Garuda. And Garuda immediately appears in the assembly of Indra and heavily chastises him that you have forgotten how I defeated you. You have forgotten my power, my strength, my valor. I am the only one who can carry Lord Vishnu. Nobody else can do that service. And you have dared to challenge me? I have defeated you in the past already. And you knew that I was going to eat Sumukha next month, and you went against my will. You need to be severely punished. And Garuda expressed deep dissatisfaction tinged with pride. And like we mentioned before, the Lord will not tolerate pride. He sends his devotees, his messengers, to crush at pride. This is just an incident, this is a pastime. But the Lord decided to crush the pride of Garuda. With all humble obeisances to Garuda Dev, the mighty carrier of Lord Vishnu, because the Lord uses his dear devotees for us to learn and realize. At that point, Vaman Dev starts to speak and he chastises Garuda. And he says, Garuda, do you think that you carry me? You are the carrier of Vishnu. I carry myself and I also carry you. Do you really think that your strength is truly your strength? All the strength that you have is coming from me. What has made you so proud? And saying that, Lord Vishnu gently touches Garuda on his shoulder. And Garuda comes crashing down and he falls down in great pain, like the weight of the entire planetary system, the weight of the entire universe has fallen upon his shoulder. And he immediately corrects himself. In great pain, he starts offering prayers to the Lord, expressing his deep regret for becoming proud. So Kanava Muni is actually narrating this pastime, this story to Duryodhan. And he's expressing that don't become proud. Don't think this power is your power. Oftentimes, and I was reflecting and meditating on what this pastime really means. Even Duryodhan heard this pastime, but he did not have a change of heart. He continued to stick with his arrogance and pride. And sometimes, as devotees, when we are put into situations when we are given an opportunity to actually take a humble position and reflect and understand that actually we cannot even move a finger without the grace and mercy of Krishna. We are not the doers. If Krishna withdraws the power, I cannot even speak a word. If Krishna withdraws our intelligence, we have no intelligence to even know what is right or wrong. We don't even know what is going on within our own bodies. What to speak about what is happening in everyone's life and how we can be well-wishers. So when Krishna puts these situations in our life, it is the time for introspection. It's the time to reflect. Krishna is giving us an opportunity to correct our consciousness and realign ourselves so that we are on a steadfast way to his lotus feet. Krishna has over and over again, through his wonderful pastimes, through his dealings with his dear devotees, expressed that he will not tolerate pride. And we have to realign ourselves if we want to be back home, back to Godhead, if we want to serve him sincerely. So over there, it was very evident that it was because of pride. Vidyādhara had lost his position, his effulgent bodily features. But because of the mercy and compassion of the sage, he was ultimately benefited. And the ultimate benefit was being in the presence of the Lord, and also rectifying his consciousness. He rectified his attitude of pride. So, rectifying, being repentant about the mistakes we commit, is a very important form of surrender. So, he rectified, he recalibrated his life in a way that it was not taking him to hell, rather to the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, we as devotees, we need to do that in our lives as well. Now, the Brajvasis are witnessing all of this. And at one point, they're wondering about the Aishwarya of Krishna. They're reflecting, maybe Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like Varuna said, now Vidyādhara is saying, Gargamuni had already mentioned, I think Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And while they were contemplating the mystical potencies of Krishna, that Vatsalya Bhav overpowers, and they still feel that, oh no, he's our dependent. He's a loving little Gopal who needs to be fed, who needs to be taken care of. And that's the beauty of Vrindavan, the beauty of the Vrajavasis. That in spite of seeing this opulence, this Aishwarya of Krishna, there's still their natural tendency to care for Krishna slowly and gradually just overpowers any of this opulence. So the Brajvasis successfully completed worshipping Lord Shiva and returned back to Braj. It is mentioned in Krishna book that right after the festival of Shivratri, the next big festival that comes is Dhol Yatra, or Gaur Purnima as we know it, where the Lord, both our Lords, Krishna and Balaram, they enjoy with the gopis in the forest of Vraja. So while both the Lords, Rama and Govinda, are enjoying with their gopis in the forest, singing on beautiful musical instruments in the moonlight, and enjoying with the intoxicated with enjoyment with the beloved gopis, a demon named Śaṅkhacūḍa comes. Śaṅkhacūḍa was none other than the servant of Kubera. He comes over there and he witnessed the lords enjoying with these beautiful, beautiful girls. And he displays this inherent tendency of why should Krishna enjoy? I should be the enjoyer of these beautiful girls. And he, with a stick, starts to chase all of these girls, these cowherd girls, the beloved gopis, towards the north direction. And in Garga Samhita, it is explained in great depth that Chandranana, one of the dear gopis of Krishna, she starts to scream and cry, "Oh Krishna, please protect me, you are our savior." And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that he could not touch the gopis, but with a stick, he was like a herd of cows, he was shooing them towards the north direction. And when the gopis start to cry and scream that, "Oh Krishna, please protect me. Please protect us from this demon. Please protect us. We have taken shelter." Immediately, Krishna and Balram start to chase Śaṅkhacūḍa. And they run behind Śaṅkhacūḍa. At that point, Śaṅkhacūḍa, seeing Krishna and Balaram chasing him, he becomes fearful. It is explained there is a history of Śaṅkhacūḍa that he had actually defeated Kamsa in the past. But simply by seeing Krishna and Balaram chasing him, he becomes fearful. He throws the branch, he leaves the gopis over there and starts to run for his life. He starts running for his life, and he's running very, very fast. The acharyas explain that he's at a great distance and he's running very fast. Lord Balaram stays back to protect the gopis, because the gopis took shelter of him. They were frightened, they became fearful, they were in trauma by being driven away from this demon. So Lord Balaram stays back to console them. And Lord Krishna, the Acharya is explaining, even though Śaṅkhacūḍa was very, very far away, but Krishna very quickly reached close to Śaṅkhacūḍa. And in Garga Samhita, in depth, it is explained that both pick up solitary branches, logs of solitary, and start to fight. And then Krishna, simply with one fist, he punches the head of Śaṅkhacūḍa and kills Śaṅkhacūḍa, separating his head from his body. He protects his beloved gopis and he kills this demon that was becoming a disturbance. And while reading this wonderful pastime, I was reflecting. I said, in our hearts, as conditioned living entities, the reason we came to the material world is because we had this desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. We had this desire to enjoy and load it over the material energy, which is for the enjoyment of Krishna. We had this desire to enjoy Krishna's property, just like Śaṅkhacūḍa had the desire to enjoy the gopis. When Śaṅkhacūḍa witnessed Krishna and Balaram approaching him, he did not see them as Krishna and Balaram. The acharyas explain that he saw them as death and time approaching him. Similarly, in the lives of conditioned living entities who are trying to load it over material nature and thinking that we can actually enjoy Krishna's property, Krishna's material energy, Krishna teaches us and kills this demon, this enjoying propensity within our hearts in the form of time and death. We may feel in youth that we can enjoy, but as we get old, with the matter of time, how much can we enjoy? Our body doesn't even function. In the form of time and death, Krishna tells us that this inherent nature that we have been cultivating because of our influence, this propensity that we have been feeding to enjoy separate from Krishna will be destroyed in the form of time and death. And then Krishna steals or pulls away the jewel that adorned Śaṅkhacūḍa. For me, it was when I was reflecting, why did Krishna pull that jewel away? What was the significance of that? And I was constantly meditating and trying to look for resources. I couldn't find anything. But when I was meditating and thinking, I said this jewel actually was an ornament. It adorned the body of Śaṅkhacūḍa. It was his glory. Similarly, when we try to enjoy separate from Krishna, when we try to enjoy Krishna's property separate from him, we lose our glory. this jewel that adorns us, we lose that fame and glory. So, as devotees, we want to make sure that we don't feed this propensity of trying to enjoy Krishna's properties separate from Him. We want to be enjoyed by Krishna. We want to serve Krishna in a way that's pleasing, serve Krishna and his devotees in the way that's pleasing to Krishna. And Krishna immediately, after he takes the jewel from Śaṅkhacūḍa, the Acharyas give a very beautiful, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, if Krishna would have taken that jewel and given it to one of the gopis, he could have created trouble for himself. They could have become confused or become envious of each other. So he takes that jewel and gives it to Lord Balaram. And it is explained that later Lord Balaram gives it to Srimati Radharani, who gives it to Surya Dev, the sun god, and who later gives this to Satyavrat, Satyajit. And this is how the Lord teaches us wonderful lessons through this wonderful chapter of how he liberated Vidyādhara, taught a lesson how pride is never tolerated by the Lord. And in the form of time and death, all these material propensities will come to an end. And we have to not feed these material propensities. Rather, we have to take shelter of Krishna and his holy name and his devotees. And whenever situations come in our life that we are corrected, we have to reflect, reorient our lives in a way that we are grateful for those corrections, and we redirect and realign our lives so that we become steadfast again in our way back home, back to Godhead. I thank you so much, all of you, for your kind attention. Please forgive me for any incomplete or incorrect. My ability to glorify the Lord is very limited, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Govinda Priya. Thank you so very much. This is such a beautiful presentation and such a mesmerizing narration of the stories from the Purans. So that's amazing. I kind of make some notes on what you said today, and I put your talk into 4 hours. Like, so Krishna is our loving father, and sometimes he himself comes, or he sometimes sends his devotees to do 4 things, and I made them as 4 hours. And these are the things that you spoke in your class. So reflect, repent, rectify, and realign one's consciousness.
Amazing.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Reflect.
Allows the devotee to reflect, repent, rectify, and realign.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
This
That
is
is
what
so
you
important.
spoke. I just put them into 4 hours. So it's a wonderful, wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really liked the 4 hours.
Yeah, thank you so very much. And we have a lot of appreciation that came along while you were talking. And we have one question from Shama Gopi. Do you have time? We can take one question.
Sure.
Okay, so Shama Gopi is asking that a conditioned soul sometimes get pride due to possessions or the position that they hold while they are serving as like big leaders in the movement, or sometimes like devotees serving their gurus or have some positions in the temple. How do we detect that kind of pride and curb it at its root? Like, because we have tendency to get proud. So how to kill that tendency? What are some of the things we can do?
So the very fact that you're even acknowledging and you can identify or that within your hearts, that's a big thing. Many a times we don't even realize that we become proud in our daily course of life. We don't even realize that we are proud. And then Krishna sends external elements like either a devotee or your spiritual master or a well-wisher that will come and gently chastise you, or firmly chastise you, or take away that position and power. And we have to understand that that is coming from Krishna. The very fact that you're even able to acknowledge that you are becoming proud and you need to rectify, then that is very, very beautiful, because that is Paramatma within our heart that is expressing to us that you need to correct yourself. I remember a beautiful example, if I can share this. This is His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He was once, we all have been to Niagara Falls. I have been several times, taken family to visit and seen the beauty of the falls. And once I heard that His Holiness Radhanath Swami also visited the Niagara Falls. And somebody asked him, Maharaj, what did you like about the falls? And Maharaj said, when I reached the falls and I saw the falls, I realized, and it was reiterated to me, how insignificant I am. So simply by seeing Krishna's energy, simply by seeing the vastness of these falls, it can remind us of our insignificance. It would take a split second to be destroyed and consumed by that water. Just a second. And we are thinking we are big something. So just one little fall, and just imagine Krishna's form. So simply when I feel that, I've become arrogant or I've become pride, I try to meditate on just sometimes this particular incident, sometimes another pastime from Krishna book, where Krishna crushes the pride. He can crush the pride of Indra. Who am I? One insignificant person. And several times, I remember there was another incident that somebody had expressed, that I'm most fallen. I'm so fallen. I'm the most fallen. And the devotee that was guiding the other person, he said, you can be most of nothing. You cannot be most exalted, and you cannot even be most fallen. Even to be most fallen, the Lord has to send His own associates. So you cannot even be most fallen. You're simply insignificant. That's your position. And when we realize that we're simply insignificant, what is the pride? How can pride stay? So simply realizing us of our insignificance. And Krishna is a very loving father. I want to share this little small pastime, if that helps. It's a little joke. So my husband, as a brahmachari, when he was preaching and he was traveling with other brahmacharis, and he was going to villages and different villages. And as a part of Indian culture, they were literally bringing their shoes to their feet and worshipping them. And the two brahmacharis, my husband and the other brahmachari, Shyamananda Prabhu, they were talking. And they said, we should not become proud by all of this. They were reflecting on the train going back to the temple. So they reached the temple and they went to take prasadam. And there is a sign written there that do not leave your shoes. Do not bring your shoes to the prasadam hall. Drop your shoes there. But they were exhausted. They already walked till there. So they just left their shoes outside and they went to take prasadam. Another devotee came, whose shoes are here? And he kicked the shoes with his own feet and he threw them to the side. So at that time, Shyamanand Prabhu and Shankharananda Prabhu, they were talking and laughing. He said, see, Krishna knows how to balance.
Wow.
Just an hour before, people were bringing our shoes and putting in our feet. And now look at the treatment we are getting. So Krishna will balance us. If we are sincere and we're steadfast in our devotion, Krishna will send elements, and we have to realize that this is for our purification and for us to realign our consciousness and mind. I don't know if that answers Shama Gopi's question, but I tried.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. So she's writing a comment here. The beautiful story that you shared about Maharaj. Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So she's saying, false show us how fallen we are. So yeah.
She does a very good job on puns and words.
Yeah. So thank you, Govinda Priya. This is very beautiful. We are very, very grateful that you took your valuable time out today and shared such important lessons that Krishna teaches us through his devotees and putting all these together in the books that Srila Prabhupada has put for us. It's such an honor to have you today with us, and we hope you can come back again on our channel sometime.
I'll be there tomorrow. Hosting. Thank
So
you so much.
thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
much. So I would like to request all our viewers. So if you are happy with our service and you are pleased, this is just a little favor we are requesting you all. Please subscribe to our mailing list at gbcspt.com. And also please follow us on our YouTube and Facebook channel. And your happiness, your pleasure is our satisfaction. So if you're happy with us, please share what we are producing for you with your friends and family members. Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna.
Shri Prabhupada ki
Srila
jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare